Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson presenting from warm, sunny Colorado. Got my lobster on my mic, and I'm so proud to be here presenting at TEAMZ. Japan is one of my favorite places in the world, and I used to live actually in Osaka over in Homachi, a wonderful little Airbnb. And I'd walk every day to the office, drink too much, work too hard. I really enjoyed spending a good part of my 20s with all of you back in 2015 and 2016 as we were launching Cardano and building Cardano. Back then, the cryptocurrency space was really small, and not a lot of people took us very seriously. Very few people knew what Bitcoin was, much less Ethereum or any other project in our ecosystem. And it was just a lot of young people having a heck of a lot of fun talking about how we want to use this technology to transform the world. And now, when we fast forward 10 years into the future, everybody from the United States government to Japan to South Korea to the Middle East to Europe, it has crypto on the tips of their tongues. And we talk a lot about real world assets. We talk a lot about taking $1 trillion markets and making them $10 trillion and beyond markets. And we talk a lot about transforming not just financial markets of the world, but the world in general. The reality is, when you look around the world, whether it be the crisis in Ukraine and Russia, or what's going on with Iran and the United States, or the conflict between China and Taiwan, everywhere we look, there's not a lot of peace and there's not a lot of trust. And when you think about what the real core purpose of a cryptocurrency is or blockchain technology is, at its core, it's really about making trust be possible amongst those who don't trust each other. China has a lot of incredible talent, and there's a ton of brilliant engineers and entrepreneurs there. But it's very difficult for a Japanese company like Toyota or Honda to collaborate and cooperate with them. Because even though they can agree that the market is enormous, the opportunities are vast, and that there's so much that these companies could share with each other, it's hard for them to trust each other. And it's the same when you look to the United States. When we look at BMW or Audi, or we look at any other place, U.S. companies, they have a hard time fully trusting and embracing collaborations. And every single time we fail to have these collaborations, ultimately we lose something. We lose all the brilliance, we lose all the culture, we lose all the knowledge, we lose great people to work with. And when you look at markets in general, whatever the market may be, securities or bonds or real estate or currencies themselves, it's the exact same concept. You run companies in Japan. It would be great if those companies could securitize and people in Africa and South America, America itself, Canada, the Middle East could invest easily and naturally in that. But these are fragmented markets. We have difficulty accessing yours, and you have difficulty accessing ours. And really, the root of all of it is trust, regulation, compliance. And then when you look to the user experience, when you ask, are cryptocurrencies easy to use? Are cryptocurrencies something that everyday people enjoy? And the reality is, even though I've created now 4 cryptocurrencies, BitShares, Ethereum, Cardano, and now Midnight, which came out today, guess what? I still double check the addresses, and I still worry when I send a cryptocurrency transaction. And if the person who creates the systems has a little bit of hesitation and fear, then what chance do everyday people have? So we need the systems to be easier to use and safer to use. We need the systems to work natively on cell phones. Consumers should never see 24 keywords. Consumers should know what a wallet is, and they shouldn't have to know how the systems work to use the systems. So on one hand, we have a lot of work to do. On the other hand, when you look at it, we're only about 15 years into this. And if it was the internet, we'd be in the 80s right now. And the dot-com revolution didn't happen until the 90s. And the internet really didn't get good until after smartphones connected to it and social media connected to it. Then it realized its true promise and potential. So on one hand, we're behind. On the other hand, we're ahead. 550 million people have adopted cryptocurrencies, and we now look at trillions of dollars of value. So there's a new generation coming, the fourth generation, and this generation seeks to resolve those problems. How do we create trust amongst those who don't trust each other? How do we make it simpler and easier to use these things and leverage what cell phones have already given us with trusted execution environments and fingerprints? This is a one-click install experience. It's something that's very simple, very easy for everybody to use. How do we put regulations and identity into these systems and have smart compliance, just like we have smart contracts? So AML and KYC, all these things can be fully automated. And finally, how do we protect and preserve your privacy? One of the biggest challenges with current blockchain technology is everything that you do, everyone can see forever. And that's not exactly a system that we signed up for. I don't think we feel comfortable with our HR data, our medical records, our transaction history, and our proprietary intellectual property being exposed for everyone everywhere. So on our side at Input Output, over 8 years ago, we started a research and development project that was a joint venture between us, researchers at the Tokyo Institute of Technology, University of Edinburgh, and other places, to try to ask a question of how do you build a blockchain that can keep a secret. 2 years into that agenda, we started an engineering effort, and that led into something called Midnight. Midnight is our best effort to not only figure out how to solve this problem, but solve it for all blockchains. Last year, over 11 million tokens were issued. There are tens of thousands of blockchains floating about. And everybody says the same thing. My technology is better than everyone else's technology. Please migrate. Move your users, move your applications, move your people to me, and then you'll live in utopia. That's not how the world works. You have to meet users where they're at. You have to accept the laws as they are. And you have to expect and understand that people are very stuck in their ways. Japan's governance structure, Japan's history and legacy, it's connected to an unbroken chain of 2,600 years of history and will continue to follow that chain. And it wouldn't surprise me 2,000 years into the future, regardless of the technological wonders that we have, the Japanese of that time will look back to the Japanese of today, as you do to the Japanese in the past, and find something familiar. So if cultures can stay that connected to the way that they've done things, and technology has, it's utterly unrealistic to assume that people are going to migrate. So to meet users where they're at, you have to build technology that works with the incumbents. The way we designed Midnight is it works with Ethereum and Solana and Cardano and XRP. Over 95% of the industry can use the technology that we have. And we've embraced chain abstraction and account abstraction. The way we've designed Midnight, the privacy technology can be used to augment chains all around the world to add privacy to their dApps the way they need it, the way they want it. And they can pay fees in Ether and Solana, ADA, and Bitcoin. And what this does is it's the missing components, the last generation, to make it easy, safe, and simple for people to use the cryptocurrency space. Furthermore, for the first time ever, a blockchain can keep a secret. So I wanted to make a quick presentation to thank the organizers for inviting me to speak and share these ideas with you. But then I also wanted to say that in times where the markets aren't so good and a lot of people are very cynical and asking, is this the end? To remind them that I've been through these ups and downs many times, and I think our best days are ahead of us. The reality is there is no other technology in the world that is capable of doing the things that blockchains can do. There's no other technology in the world that brings us together the way that blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies do. I have been able over my career in the last 10 years to travel to more than 75 countries and meet countless tens of thousands of people from many different places in life and cultures and languages. And I continue to travel and continue to meet people. And every place I go, we're unified in a common goal that we just want to work together, trust each other, and embrace and promote freedom of association, commerce, and expression. We bring walls down, we don't build them, and we bring each other together. So when we look to Midnight, the way we distributed it, the way it works, that's a reflection of those values. Furthermore, we have a new demographic that's rapidly coming online, one that humans have never worked with before: agents. The reality is that when you look at the internet as of 2035, more than 70% of all commercial transactions, all data flows, and all users will be non-human. They'll be agents, incredibly intelligent, working on the behalf of some human or other agent, and we don't really have a control layer for them. The language of agents, unlike the language of humans, is proofs. Humans, we have nonverbal communication. We can know when we're bored, when people are paying attention, when people are with you, and when people dislike you, just by the way they smile, just by the way they frown, just by the way they talk. But agents, they don't have this ability. Instead, when they interact with each other, they look for cryptographic signatures, zero knowledge proofs. They look for evidence that the agent that they're dealing with, the data that they're looking at, is correct. This makes the blockchain space the best control layer ever devised for establishing a root of trust and truth, and ultimately building tools for agents to talk to each other. So there's a lot of amazing protocols like the Open Wallet Standard that has been recently proposed, the X.402 protocol for payments. But when you look at chains like Midnight, we built them for agentic commerce, and we built them for agentic activity. And I'm not just saying it, I'll show you. I have something very cool here. We have something called Midnight City. Now, we created Midnight City about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and the goal of Midnight City is to host an agentic civilization. So right now, there are agents, autonomous of humans, running around doing their own things, celebrating the launch of Midnight. And each and every one of them, they have their own personalities, they have their own agendas, they transmit data. You can see a public view, you can see a view of the auditor, you can see a view of all of the agents' transactions. And what's really cool and interesting about Midnight City is that eventually you're going to be able to acquire your own agents and embed them in. This acts as a testing basis for agents interacting with the blockchain and ultimately interacting with each other in the broader financial world. And what's beautiful about all of this is because Midnight has privacy built into it, as we do these things, the agents, they know just what is required to do their job, not everything, which is essential because the age that we're heading into, computers, governments, and pretty much everybody, they know too much. And we have to pull that back. So we're able to test Midnight at scale through this framework, not just for humans, but for agents, and make it cross-chain and interact with Ethereum smart contracts and Solana smart contracts, Cardano smart contracts, and even Bitcoin for Bitcoin DeFi. So we're incredibly excited to be able to step into this bold new future, one where we have a fundamentally new way of using the internet, one that we have a fundamentally new way of trusting and working with each other, but one that also respects the legacy of the past. It doesn't really matter what cryptocurrency project you come from. It doesn't matter where you started and what your legacy infrastructure looks like. At the end of the day, you need abstraction, compliance, and privacy. And that's what the fourth generation is about. So a long time ago, I talked about the third generation, about scalability, interoperability, and governance. And back then, everything was small. Bitcoin was under $250, and not a lot of people understood or knew anything about what we were doing. And guess what? Today, now, we've witnessed parabolic growth. And I believe that the next generation of cryptocurrencies will usher in an era of market caps above 10 trillion and billions of users, and they will link the Web 2 and the Web 3 world together in a very natural, organic way, which is safe for everyone. Furthermore, they will finally bring the Fortune 500, and they will finally bring governments into the cryptocurrency space, allowing us to have emergent properties we could only dream of before. Thus, we can live in one global economy. And not only do we get to know each other, as we have done, but we get to trade with each other. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for allowing me just a brief moment to share my thoughts about where we're going and what we're doing. The principles never change. You have a God-given right to freedom of association, commerce, and expression. and everything should be open and open source. On the other hand, you also have a right to privacy, and you have a right to be in the driver's seat to decide what you disclose, how you disclose it, and to whom, so you can protect your property, your reputation, and your liberty, especially in a world where most of the people that you meet don't live in Japan. They live somewhere else, and you've never met them in person and probably never will meet them in person. Thus, we need absolutely to have strong controls to protect our privacy. That's why we built Midnight, and that's why I paid for it out of pocket. Over $200 million of my own money, didn't take any venture capital, and I gave it away through an airdrop to 7 different blockchains, 8 different ecosystems, and now there's over 1 million people who hold Night. So I'm incredibly glad to see such a wonderful, beautiful community emerge in just a few short months. And I think it's going to grow dramatically, just as Cardano did before it. Midnight Cardano work very closely together. Cardano provides the security for Midnight, and Midnight's the largest project built on Cardano. And I'd like to believe we inherited all those Japanese principles that we put into Cardano long ago, the formal methods and peer review, but we learned a few new tricks along the way. Midnight's our fastest project. We launched the token in December. It's already listed on Binance, and the mainnet just came out in March. Every 2 to 3 months, something new and exciting comes. And as you can see, we even built an agentic civilization just to showcase what it can do. So please do take some time, go to midnight.network and learn about the 4th generation. And whatever project you have, ask a very fundamental question. How could adding privacy make your project better? And how can putting more control into the hands of your users make your users safer and ultimately make it faster and easier for them to come into the cryptocurrency revolution? Thank you all. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but as you can see, we're launching a cryptocurrency network right now. And we're having a heck of a lot of fun doing it, but unfortunately it requires my time here in Colorado. But I shall return soon to Japan. I was here just a little earlier. We had the Japan tour. I was in Hokkaido during a pretty legendary snowstorm, and it was wonderful traveling throughout the whole archipelago, going from Hokkaido down to Okinawa and then back to Tokyo. So I will be back in Japan as soon as I can, and I'd like to thank the organizers of TEAMZ for being so kind to invite me to speak here and share some of my thoughts. Until next time, cheers.